Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Salamun alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me and thank you for taking your time to watch this video, which is about Yalda, or I prefer to say 40 night or Shab-e Chelleh in Iranian culture. And the title of this presentation is Intersection of Astronomy, Cultural Heritage and Spiritual Significance. So inshallah, we're going to have a nice lecture. So I hope you enjoy this. So let us begin with our first slide. Yeah, so this is the introduction of our lecture. And I would like to start with the definition of Yalda. Yalda marks the longest night of the year in the northern hemisphere, occurring around the winter solstice, approximately 21st December in Gregorian calendar. But for now, I need to say this year is Yalda or Shab-e Chelleh is happening 20th of December. And for some reasons that I don't want to mention now, this year we have two Yaldas. In Persian or Iranian cultural memory, it represents the victory of light over darkness, and daylight gradually lengthened thereafter. Throughout centuries, this celebration at its core, an ancient Iranian observance, has observed various cultural, religious, and spiritual elements. And why this no, this is not a lecture. You know why this presentation is happening now, and I'm trying to explain my purposes of this presentation. This presentation aims to examine the origins, linguistic development, astronomical significance, cultural practices, religious symbolism, and the pivotal role of the number 40 within Islamic Iranian milieu. It will investigate why Yalda is considered Iranian, the earliest reference to it, the reason behind the use of Syriac term, and how traditions such as reciting Hafez's poetry and consuming red-hued fruits became integral. It will also offer a Twelver Shi jurisprudential perspective on acknowledging pre-Islamic traditions within an Islamic framework, addressing the broader questions of whether Muslims can uphold ancient customs like Yalda and Nowruz without compromising the religious principles. Let's move to our next slide. Yeah. The earliest traces and Iranian identity. Earliest references of Shab-e Chelleh. Direct pre-Islamic textual references to Yalda by that specific name are scarce. However, the concept of marking the winter solstice often referred to Shab-e Chelleh, the night of 40, indicating the start of the Great Chelleh, has deep Iranian roots. Archaeological and historical evidence suggests that ancient Iranian honored seasonal turning points, including the solstice and manifestation of cosmic order, often linked to Mithraic worship and solar reverence. By the late Sasanian and early Islamic periods, the term Yalda, borrowed from Syriac meaning birth or nativity, came into usage, reflecting the region's religiously diverse and multicultural environment. As you can see, I forgot to mention earlier, I'm trying to use different sources. One of them is the entry of Shab-e Chelleh in Encyclopedia of Iranica. Although they introduced through Christian communities, The underlying tradition remained distinctly Iranian in essence, symbolizing renewal and the transition toward longer days. And why I think Yalda has Iranian roots and is an Iranian tradition. While the word may have Syriac origins, the celebration's cosmic and symbolic dimensions are fundamentally Iranian. Yalda's deep integration into Iranian culture, consciousness, its seasonal significance, and its alignment with indigenous cosmological concepts predates Islam. Over time, as Iran embraced Islam, this inherently Iranian festival adapted without losing its core identity, illustrating the resilience and flexibility of Iranian cultural traditions. And about etymology and Syriac influence and transmission. A Syriac word for Iranian festival. Syriac influence on Iranian culture, particularly during the Sasanian dynasty, facilitated the introduction of the word Yalda. Although the name is borrowed, the festival's spiritual and seasonal essence remains rooted in Iranian cosmology. This linguistic synthesis highlights Iran's historical openness to integration, beneficial elements from neighboring cultural and religious communities. In contemporary Iran, the term Chelleh has taken on a slightly informal, colloquial tone, often associated with everyday speech. In contrast, Yalda is perceived as refined, elegant, and sophisticated, aligning with a more formal and prestigious register. This distinction may explain why Iranian officials' media outlets increasingly favor the use of Yalda over Chelleh in their coverage of the festival, reflecting a preference for a polished and culturally enriched vocabulary. So it's more fancy to say Yalda rather than Chelleh, but I personally prefer Chelleh. Chelleh and the significance of 40. Chelleh periods. The winter solstice heralds the great Chelleh, 40 days of intense cold followed by the small Chelleh, in addition 20 days, marking the coldest phase of winter. Again, Encyclopedia of Iranica. The number of 40 or Chehel, or in informal Iranian we say Chel, but informal Iranian pronunciation Chehel, the number 40 or Chehel symbolizes a transformative liminal period in Persian tradition, signifying endurance, maturation, and the completion of a cycle. 40 in Iranian and Islamic traditions. And I checked the Mystery of Numbers written by Annemarie Schimmel, and nothing was, as far as I remember, nothing was mentioned about Shab-e Yalda or Shab-e Chelleh. 40 in Iranian and Islamic traditions. In Iranian culture, 40 represents resilience and the passage to new state of being. In Islamic spirituality, especially within Twelver Shiism, the reoccurrence of 40 is noteworthy. First example is Hazrat Musa ala nabiyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam. And we know in the Holy Quran, Hazrat Musa spent 40 days in the retreat before receiving wahy or revelation. The second example, the Holy Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, received his first revelation at the age of 40. Arba'in, the 40th day after Imam Hussein alayhi salam martyrdom, holds profound communal and devotional significance. In a narration attributed to Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam, The pilgrimage of Arbain is counted among the signs of true faith. So we can see this is the importance of 40. Hazrat Musa, the Holy Prophet of Islam, and 40 days after the martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And this is merely a Shia tradition in Islam. So our brothers and sisters from other schools rather than Twelver Shi, so they don't have, as long as I know, and I can remember in some contemporary events in the history, they said, no, we don't have Arba'in, we don't commemorate after 40 days of the departure of one person. So this is merely between Iran and Shia Islam. This interplay between Iranian cultural symbolism and Islamic spiritual frameworks enriches Yalda, linking natural cycles to religious milestones and collective memory. This does not mean that Iranians consciously named the night of 40 before Islam because they knew 40 is significant in Islam. However, it suggests that the collective subconscious memory of Iranian regarded 40 as something special even in the pre-Islamic era. Astronomical and scientific aspects of Shab-e Chelleh. The winter solstice. Yalda corresponds to an astronomical turning point identified by ancient Iranians through meticulous sky watching and empirical observation. Their sophisticated understanding of celestial movements also underpinned other major festivals like Nowruz, the spring equinox, further demonstrating that their cultural life was closely attuned to cosmic rhythms. Modern relevance. Contemplating these celestial patterns today encourages a renewed respect for divine order, environmental balance, and the stewardship of creation values resonate with Islamic teachings, which view nature as a reflection of God, artistry, and wisdom. That's us. Let us move to next slide. Cultural practices, red fruits, light, and Hafez. Red fruits, pomegranate, watermelons, with their vibrant red hue, symbolize warmth, vitality, and the preserved memory of summer. In the heart of winter's darkness, these fruits represent the promise of returning light and life. Illumination. The lighting of lamps and candles during Yalda underscore the triumph of light over darkness. Within Islamic symbolism, the motive of illumination aligns with divine guidance as light upon light, Nurun ala Nur, reinforcing the moral and spiritual dimensions of festivities. And before incorporating Hafez's poetry, Yalda emphasized communal storytelling and reflection. Before incorporating Hafez's poetry, Yalda emphasized communal storytelling and reflection. Oral traditions such as epic literature and moral anecdotes were central to the gatherings, fostering a collective sense of identity and wisdom. As Persian literary culture flourished, poetry provided new means to interpret life's mysteries. And on top of that is Fale Hafez. Hafez, 14th century CE, lived long after Yalda's ancient origins. Yet reciting his poetry and performing Fale Hafez, which means divinatory reading from his divan later became integral to the celebration. The introduction of Hafez's poetry added a mystical and introspective layer, inviting participants to seek a spiritual counsel and personal insight during this contemplative night. Yalda's evolving nature exemplifies the adaptability of cultural traditions, enabling the integration of novel elements while preserving a core sense of seasonal awe and reverence. Africa, so this must be the slide. So I need to move. Yalda in an Islamic legal perspective. Acknowledging ancient customs under Twelver Shi jurisprudence. The question arises, is it permissible for Muslims and Twelver Shi in particular to uphold pre-Islamic traditions? It is permissible, so the answer, no, this is still the question. Is it permissible for Muslims and Twelver Shi in particular to uphold pre-Islamic traditions like Yalda? The answer, historical and jurisprudential evidence indicates that Islam does not aim to abolish all pre-Islamic customs, nor to sanction them indiscriminately. Instead, its stance depends on the content and implication of each tradition. Acceptable customs versus unacceptable practices. If a custom clashes with Islamic principles such as human dignity, tawheed, or moral virtue, Islam rightfully rejects it. Examples include pre-Islamic Arabian practices like female infanticide. On the other hand, traditions that align with or at least do not contradict Islamic values are permissible. For instance, Nowruz customs like visiting relatives, in Islam is called Salatul Rahim, exchanging gifts and reflecting on God's creation have historically been integrated into Islamic practices without any issue. Yalda and winter as a spring of the believer. A hadith from Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam stated, winter is the spring of the believers. Its nights are long for standing in prayer and its days are short for fasting. Thus the extended nights of winter marked, so this is the end of the hadith. Thus the extended nights of winter marked by Yalda offer opportunities for enhanced devotion, aligning this ancient seasonal observance with Islamic spirituality rather than contradicting it. And also Imam Ali alayhi salam, when advising Malik al-Ashtar instructed him not to abolish long-standing beneficial customs that promote social cohesion and moral refinement. End of hadith. This guidance applies to non-Islamic traditions that are morally sound and socially constructive. Yalda, which encourages family gatherings, listening to elders' stories, reciting poetry, exchanging modest gifts, and reflecting on natural phenomena, embodies values that can be harmoniously integrated with Islamic ethics. Similarly, Nowruz, celebrated through familial visiting, charitable deeds, and contemplation of nature's renewal, can be acceptable from an Islamic standpoint as long as it avoids un-Islamic elements. Another hadith, the prophetic traditions endorse the institution of the institution of wholesome practices. A narration states, this is the beginning of the hadith, whoever establishes a good traditions, in Arabic sunnatun hasana, will have the reward for it, and for those who act upon it without reducing their rewards in the slights. End of hadith. While Yalda and Nowruz are pre-Islamic in origin, their contemporary form emphasizes family bonds. Their contemporary form emphasizes family bonds, moral reflection, and gratitude qualities revered in Islamic teachings. Hence, from a Twelver Shi perspective, these traditions may indeed represent good traditions insofar as they resonate with Islamic morality and spirituality. And another note, we should always avoid excess and prohibitions. The permissibility of Yalda and similar customs does not legitimize extravagant or immoral practices performed in their name, acts of wastefulness, israf, heedlessness of God, ghaflah, immoral behavior, or purchasing out of season products at unreasonable expenses are not accepted by Islam. Such prohibitions apply universally. Yalda or any other occasion is no exception. The key is moderation, sincerity, and mindfulness of divine principles. And let us conclude our today's presentation summary. Yalda is far more than the longest night of the year. It reflects Iran's ancient connection to cosmic rhythms, linguistic adaptability, and the integration of pre-Islamic customs with Islamic spiritual values. Its layers encompassing astronomy, red fruit symbolizing warmth, the poetry of Hafez providing mystical depth, and the jurisprudential acceptance of meaningful cultural traditions converge into a remarkable cultural and religious tapestry. Yalda showcases that Muslims can honor historical continuity, appreciate cultural richness, and still remain firmly grounded in Islamic ethics. Final reflection. For Twelver Shi and Muslims, more broadly, Yalda offers an opportunity for communion with family, reflection on divine order, and spiritual growth. As an ethically sound custom aligned with Islamic values, it can be celebrated without fear of contravening religious principles. In embracing Yalda and comparable traditions like Nowruz, believers affirm that Islam's interaction with culture is measured, rational, and compassionate, preserving beneficial customs while discarding those at odds with the faith's moral core. So anything that is against monotheism, against human dignity, against Islamic ethics is not acceptable. Apart from that, is more than welcome. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you all Shab-e Chelleh this year. So inshallah, all the best for you. Just the final slide, that is my bibliography, as you can see. So you can pause the video and see the bibliography yourself. Just I wanted to share. It was not just my ideas. I did my best to avoid my personal views, apart from using the term Shab-e Chelleh, and everything that you see is coming from those books, and the style of referencing was APA. Thank you very much for watching this video. Inshallah, you have a lovely Shab-e Chelleh and Yalda Mubarak. All the best. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.